versus Muth. Step forward, please.
18-year-old Beverly Lopez and her boyfriend, 20-year-old waiter George Chantarasaka, are suing George's former lover, 19-year-old tutor Saram Muth, for breaking into their home and stealing property.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Chantarasaka.
Chantarasaka. What's your first name?
George.
George. Do you mind?
No.
According to your complaint, this young lady is George's former girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend.
Former, that's former.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
And it is your claim that she broke into the apartment that you now share with George.
Yes.
Broke the door to your bedroom, vandalized the room, and took some of your property. Your defense is that it's your apartment, and you have the right to go into your apartment because you're on the lease.
Yes.
And you did take some of her property, but that was a mistake.
Yes, I did.
But that you gave it back to her.
Yes, I did.
When did you break up with George?
We broke up a week before I left, which was about May 24th.
And when did you come back to the apartment on the incident that Miss Lopez is complaining about?
A week after June 11th.
And when did you move into the apartment, Miss Lopez?
I think the last week of May.
And you moved in with George?
Yes.
So now he's your boyfriend?
He's been my boyfriend. We broke up for about a month, and that's when he got with her.
So you went from her to her, back to her, is that right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
You must have some secret something, George, and if you do, it's got to be a good secret, because I don't see it. Now, you came back June 18th. Tell me why you came into the apartment. What were you looking for?
I came back to the apartment to drop off his wallet because he left it in my cousin's car. And I was there to pick up some of my stuff and take it back to California with me. Little did I know, my door was locked. So out of anger, I broke my door.
The door that you had that you say was locked, is that a door to a bedroom that you had shared with George?
Yes.
So it was George's bedroom as well?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I broke off the doorknob, went in, took my stuff, and I also took her stuff out of anger.
And where did you put them when you took them?
I actually took it with me to California, but then I realized my stupidity, and I brought it back the next day.
You're lying.
Just a second. Did you get it back?
No, I didn't get any of my stuff back.
Show me that you brought it back and gave it to her.
I have a witness who can't come in because she's a minor.
Well, then if you have a witness that I can't question, then you have no witness.
You're right. I don't. But I did bring it back. Why would she wait for a month to file a report saying that I stole her stuff?
I called you and I told you that I wanted my things
Listen,
back.
Miss Lopez, don't speak to her. Speak to me.
Okay.
Did you get your property back?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Do you have a bill for the replacement of the doorknob?
No, I don't.
No, I don't know.
But this is the doorknob. This is how it looks when she broke it off.
I don't need the doorknob, madam. She says she broke the doorknob. I need what it's going to cost to fix it.
Well, we don't have the bill.
You have a list of items that she took out of your room?
I have a police report.
Well, you originally told the police, madam, that all the stuff that was taken was original value and current value were the same, $900. Why are you suing her now for $4,500?
Because my things are actually worth more than $900 at
You
the
mean
time.
they increased in value since you filed the police report?
No, I didn't.
Listen to me. If you file a police report and they ask you what the value is and you gave them their original value and the current value, I assume that when you filed that police report you were trying to be as accurate as possible. Is that right?
Yes, but at the time I wasn't really thinking because I was really...
And now you're thinking? Is what you're telling me now you're thinking? Heaven help me. You have no right to take up property and you have no proof that you returned it. I have no idea how much it's going to cost to fix the doorknob because you don't bring me a bill.
And she broke my video camera too.
You have a bill to have it fixed?
No, I don't.
Well, what am I supposed to? I'm not a mind reader.
Your Honor, I did not break his video camera.
I'm not considering the video camera because people have to know that when they come to court, they have to be prepared. They have to be prepared with documents. They have to be prepared with receipts. They have to be prepared.
But
I'm speaking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They have to be prepared with an estimate of what it's going to cost to fix property if there's an allegation of damage. If you don't have that, the judge isn't going to get it for you. George, you got it?
Yes, yes.
Good. As far as you're concerned, you made this report soon after the incident occurred. You told the police what happened. You told the police what your property was worth. You told them at that time that it was worth $900, which is probably a stretch. Certainly that stretch isn't going to be stretched into $4,500. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $900. That's all. Goodbye.
What is our excuse? You messed up.
I think they're just angry and jealous.
I don't know what I did.
I had her boyfriend for a month. He doesn't want her anymore. She called my phone and made threats. She's psycho. Of course, she's capable of doing things.
Crazy.
22-year-old waitress Nikki Sutton is suing her ex-fiancé, 22-year-old health club manager Matthew Nicholson, for a loan to pay his taxes and for unpaid credit card charges. Matthew says he paid Nikki back in cash.
Yeah, this is case number 491 on the calendar, the matter of Sutton versus Nicholson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
You know what's sort of interesting? The ladies come, they're usually on that side, plaintiff side, and they come with all the paperwork. On this side, usually the boyfriends. They come with nothing but a smile.
Travel lightly.
Is your attaché case on the ground over there? No?
No.
Well, I'm certain you're going to be very convincing.
Yes.
Miss, what?
I was just thinking to myself, he's got the truth on his side. That's all he needs.
Well, he's got something on his side. I fail to see it, but I'm sure it's there. You used to live with him.
No, he rented a house for my parents.
And you sometimes shared it together?
I was up there a lot, yes.
Enough so that you decided to get a credit card and give him one of the cards?
Yes, he had asked me to get him a card.
And you did that?
I did.
And by the time the two of you parted ways, according to you, he had maxed out the credit card. And in addition, you made a loan to him to help him pay his taxes.
Yes.
The amount of
$1,000. He was in trouble with the IRS, is what I was told.
Okay. Did she give you any money for taxes?
She did.
Was it a gift or a loan?
It was a loan.
It was a loan. Did you pay her back?
Yes.
How?
Cash.
When she gave you the $1,000, was it in check or cash?
It was in check.
Wouldn't you think it was smart to give her back the money the same way?
Your Honor, we were planning to get married in June of this year, and we shared finances.
You're telling me your whole story, your
I
whole
wasn't
major
planning-
thing here. I'm not interested. What I'm saying to
wasn't
you is, when
planning-
did she give you the $1,000?
I don't know.
In 04.
Do you remember what month? You would have the copy of the
I
check.
do have a copy of the check.
I'd like to see it, please. Tell me when you decided to get married, sir.
December 23rd of 2003.
So that when she gave you this in September of 2004, you were still planning to get married,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes.
When did you give her back the money in cash, sir?
It would have been the end of the month,
End of,
September.
all in one lump sum?
Actually, I believe it was 2 payments.
Give me the amounts of the 2 payments.
I want to say one was for $400 and the other was for $600.
Where did you get that money from?
Paycheck. I was paid on the 25th of every month,
Yes.
and it would have been from that.
And what did you do with your paychecks?
Deposit them at the bank?
So that you would have taken out this money, this $400 and $600.
Yes, Your Honor.
Lean down from in your attaché case, sir, and show me the withdrawal from your bank for $400 and $600.
I didn't think that would be credible evidence because it didn't state to who it went to.
Oh, it doesn't make any difference. It would have been some evidence that at the end of the month you took out $400 and $600, right?
Yes.
So instead of coming with some evidence, you come with no evidence.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Did he ever give you money for the taxes?
No, he did not.
No. Now, let's get to the credit card. Go ahead.
Well, I got a credit card, and he had asked me to get him a credit card in his name, so I did, and the limit was $4,000. He had been making payments the entire time, and then things started going sour, so he did make a $1,500
He
payment.
did or he didn't?
He did.
When?
I believe it was in August. Yes, it was in August.
Is that before or after you broke up?
That was before. And then basically everything's just started going bad. He was gambling too much. He was charging my credit card with party poker on the internet, and it ultimately...
Why are you smiling at her?
What's that?
Did you tell him what I said?
Why are you smiling at her?
Because not everything she's saying is true, Your Honor.
Is anything that she's saying true?
Yes.
Did you use the credit card to play party poker?
When we were both there,
Both where?
playing party poker.
Did you ever play by yourself?
No.
Did you have a gambling problem?
No.
Did you gamble?
Well, yes, on party poker, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have a letter from him 2 days after we had broke up. He left it on my car, and it says he was going to Gamblers Anonymous.
Can I see it, please? He says he apologizes for his actions on Friday night. This was in October. He embarrassed you at your place of work. What did he do?
He came to my work. He got really drunk. I don't really want to talk about it, but he decided he was going to tell me he was going to commit suicide. I had to call the cops on him, and they took him to the mental health.
I'm starting Gamblers Anonymous, effective tonight at 7 p.m. in Ventura. Were you successful?
I never wrote that letter, Your Honor.
I do have another letter with his writing, talking about his anger problem.
You never wrote this letter?
No, Your Honor.
This is strange. Why would someone that you were engaged to sign his letter with love, Matthew Nicholson? That's strange. Okay, let me see another letter that you say you have that he wrote. Take out your wallet, Mr. Nicholson. Take out your driver's license. Not the same.
It was left on my card, and he called me that Sunday night, telling me he was at his
Give
meeting.
this to him. No, but the handwriting on this check is very similar to these letters.
No.
Similar. I'm not a handwriting expert, but similar. Give these back to the plaintiff, please. See? Am I fair?
Yes, Your Honor.
That doesn't mean you're going to be successful, but it means that when she tries to put something over on me, I'm going to put my heel on her throat. Don't ever do that again.
I swear I didn't write that letter.
Well, he didn't.
Okay.
I don't know who did, but he didn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Matthew Nicholson owes for credit card charges and a loan to pay back taxes. Nikki claims Matthew has a gambling problem.
Now, let me see the credit card stuff. I want to see some of the things that were charged, please.
This is the entire year that the credit card was charged. I have paperclip the statements I have received back from the merchants with his signature on them.
He doesn't deny that he used the credit card. He said that you used it for things like buying furniture for the house, which you kept, going out, dinners, all kinds of things. So
Your
let's
Honor.
see.
I used my other credit card to buy the furniture for the house.
Just a shh. Who has Allstate insurance?
That'd be me.
Well, this is your bill.
Yes.
That's not a joint bill.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Who works out at LA Workout?
I work for the company, Your Honor.
You work for the company. Well, that's yours,
Yes, Your Honor.
right?
Yes.
Total Eclipse Professional. What is that?
I do not know, Your Honor.
I believe that was for his tenting on his windows.
That sound right?
Yes, Your Honor. She said she was paying for that.
Well, she didn't. You did on the credit card. How about Urban Home? What is that?
I know what that's for. That's the bar that he has in his house that he split with the other roommate.
That sound right to you? It's easy enough to find
Sure.
out.
Yeah, I imagine it is, Your Honor.
Well, so that's your bill, right? I'm just picking some of the big ones.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Secret Garden Florist. When's your birthday?
March.
Did you have a fight or something in September?
I don't recall, but there is a...
Secret Garden Florist. Did you ever send him flowers?
No.
Did you ever send her flowers?
Occasionally.
Well, you don't expect her to pay for her flowers, do you?
Now I do.
No. Kevin Jewelers, $749.99 back in December.
That would be a pair of diamond earrings, which she still has in her possession, Your Honor.
Well, that was a gift.
It was
Didn't
Christmas.
expect her to pay for a gift.
What's that?
What word didn't you understand?
No, I don't.
Well, then that's your bill. That's so far the biggest bill that's here.
Probably is, Your Honor.
You see where I'm going on this, sir?
I'm following you. She was paid cash for a lot of the stuff.
Show me.
I can't. If I
Well, then that's your problem, quite frankly, sir. What's Adelphia?
Cable company.
$254?
For the house that I was living in.
That
which
you were
she
living
shared.
in?
Correct.
It was your house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who has a Verizon wireless bill?
I have a Nextel phone, Your Honor.
He had Verizon. I have proof that I paid my Verizon bills with checks. I have them all.
You have them all?
I have them all.
Good. You see what happens when you come prepared? What's the balance on the credit card?
The balance comes over $4,000.
There's something, the only thing I don't like about your case, even though it's very well prepared, is those letters. However, maybe it's possible somebody else wrote them, not you. Possible, but not probable. Mr. Nicholson, you have to pay your debts, sir. She gave you $1,000 to pay your taxes. You have to pay that, and you have to pay these bills that are on the credit card. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm just glad it's over. I don't have to deal with her anymore, and I can move on in my life.
We were planning on getting married, but the evil side of him came out.
Now that this is done, I can completely forget about her.
There is no animosity. I hope he has a great life.
7-year-old office clerk Chad Smith is suing his ex-wife, 23-year-old car detailer Amber Hampton, for return of child support. Chad says he is not the father of Amber's son.
That's case number 441 on the calendar in the matter of Smith versus Hampton. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Smith, Miss Hampton is your former wife, and at the time you met, the defendant was pregnant. The child was born during your marriage, but you are not the child's biological father.
No, ma'am. It wasn't born during the marriage.
No, ma'am.
When was he born?
February 21st, 2001.
And when did you marry?
In April of 2001.
Could you keep your voice up, please? I'm old and my hearing is not as good as it used to be.
April of 2001.
Okay. I only devour litigants on Thursday. When did you separate?
It was about July of 2001.
So you were together for 3 months?
Yes.
When were you divorced?
Well, to the courts, we were divorced in 2002.
So you lived together as husband and wife for 3 months?
Yes, ma'am.
And the boy was born prior to that, but it was both of your understanding that this was not your biological child.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were incarcerated off and on from 2001 to 2003.
Yes, ma'am.
During that time, Miss Hampton obtained a divorce, named you as the child's father, and at some point you were ordered to pay child support. You were not present in court.
Yes,
it was a default. I don't know whether you were in jail or out of jail. Were you in jail or out of jail when there was a default?
I was in jail.
Had you been served with the papers?
No, ma'am.
In any event, subsequently, when you got out of jail, you went to court and you had the child support order stopped. But in the interim, money was deducted from whatever salary you had.
Yes, ma'am.
So you want that money back?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hampton said that you were aware of the fact that you were not the child's biological father. You agreed to assume responsibility for his care. Your name is on the child's birth certificate. Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
Is not?
No. He was in jail at the time Tyler was born, so he was not able to sign the birth certificate.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Hampton. Why did you, in the judgment of divorce, name Mr. Smith as the child's father?
I told my lawyer that he wasn't the father, but he had claimed responsibility. And my lawyer said that since we were living together before the child was born and afterward, and that he wanted my son to have his last name, that he was responsible for it.
Well, all of that is supposition on your lawyer's part, if in fact he told you that, because A, he had not signed the birth certificate, B, he had not claimed responsibility, and more importantly, according to the timeline that both of you gave me, you were married in April of 2001, and less than 3 months later, you separated. So this commitment that he made to your son was of short duration. Then he was in jail. Who was the child's father?
His father's name is Mike.
Is what?
Mike.
Mike. And did you notify Mike that he has a son?
He knows, but we have no contact with each other.
Well, who supports the boy?
I do.
And how long have you done that?
Since he was born.
Good. Then why did you pursue Mr. Smith for support?
I had quit working after I had my second child, and I went through family assistance, and they went after child support.
So you went on welfare?
Yes, ma'am.
After you had a second child with whom?
His name is James.
Shh. Now, where does James fit in this picture? Why didn't he support his child?
He does now.
but we had broken up for a time due to a disagreement. We were both working and going to college, and he wasn't there when she was born.
So is what you're telling me that the state pursued the issue of support?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you receive any of this money, or did it all go to welfare?
Part of it went to welfare, and then I received the other part.
Well, do I have any indication of how much you received for the child support as opposed to the state?
I have none of that paperwork. The HR.
Do you?
No, ma'am. Just what I paid in child support.
Listen, Mr. Smith, is the problem, sir. My sense is that whatever you paid in child support, a part of that went to the state.
Yes, ma'am.
Not to her. I don't know how much that was. What were you in jail for, Mr. Smith?
Probation violation.
That's not a crime.
Yes, ma'am. It was breaking and entering a vehicle.
Burglary.
Yes, ma'am.
How many times?
One count of that. Yes, ma'am.
One count to cover how many charges, sir?
5.
You know, you think that these things just come to you?
No, ma'am.
There's experience there. You don't spend that much time in jail in this country with overcrowded prisons, unfortunately, for one count of breaking and entering into a car. But when you've been arrested a whole slew of times and you get a lawyer who says, look, we'll lump them all together, one count, how much time did you serve?
I was placed on probation under youthful offender.
And?
And then I had a 3-year sentence if I broke probation.
And did you?
Yes, ma'am.
How?
Failure to report to my probation officer.
Anything else?
That should be it. That's it.
You mean to tell me they put you back in jail for how long because you failed to report to your probation officer? Is that what you're telling me, Mr. Smith?
Well, it could have been...
And I don't want you to look over there. I want you to try to bring those eyes right back here.
I got attempting to elude because I had...
Attempting to elude?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means that you were running away from the police?
Yes, ma'am.
When they came to bring you in so that you could chat with your probation officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when you were attempting to elude the police, how did you do that, Mr. Smith?
I ran.
How long did it take them to catch you?
About 6 hours.
So you were running pretty fast. How long have you been out of prison, Mr. Smith?
A year and a half.
Any trouble since?
No, ma'am.
Did you learn your lesson?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today, says his ex-wife, Amber Hampton, falsely named him as the father of her child. He is suing her for the return of child support.
The problem, Mr. Smith, is that probably a good piece of this money went to the state where you live because they were supporting her and this little boy. How much did you pay for the divorce, sir?
I haven't paid anything.
And are you divorced now?
Yes.
Okay, and you paid about $3,000 in child support?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to consider that the cost of your divorce, sir. If you don't want to think of it as child support, think of it as the cost of your divorce, because it is impossible for me to determine how much money of the money that was deducted from your salary went to Miss Hampton and how much went to the state. And I certainly can't, although there's a basic unfairness about it, I certainly can't say to her, you have to return the money to him when she didn't get it. So, you made some mistakes in your life, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
This was just another mistake. Costly, unfortunate, but there is nothing that I can do to help you.
I also had my lawyer fees where I had to take her back to court to get everything dropped.
That's a different story. Let me see that, please. Did you bring the baby to jail to visit him?
Yes, ma'am. He had called me a little bit before Father's Day, and I was nice enough to take Tyler up there to see him.
Why did you do that, sir?
Because then I had found out that she had filed for divorce stuff.
Why did you ask to see the baby?
I didn't. She brought him up there.
He asked how how me and him were doing and everything like that, so I didn't.
But he didn't ask you to have regular visits with him while he was in jail with the baby?
Until right after we went to court and I did my statement to the judge, I had no idea where he was. I hadn't seen him.
So the answer is no. So how much in total did you pay the lawyer, sir?
$500.
Okay. Do you have the final copy of the judgment of divorce with
Yes,
the
ma'am.
modification on it, deleting the child's name? Let's see, please. Well, this talks about the child.
It also says she don't know where I was during the whole proceedings, but she did because I got the letter from jail.
But with that, I went to court on February 27th, before Father's
Of 2002. This judgment was filed March of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out where he was?
It was right before Father's Day. I don't remember what the day
How did you
was.
find out where he was?
He called me.
Was that the first time he had called you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, the postmark on this letter is May of 2002.
Yes, ma'am.
What evidence do you have that she knew where you were?
It's highlighted.
Oh, it says here, I already knew you were here in jail and how you got caught. I had seen Chris in Walmart right after you were caught.
Yes, ma'am. That was right before he called. Actually, I think it was the day he called me from jail.
How much after you got caught, sir, did you call her?
It was probably about 3 months.
I believe you knew where he was. You all live in the same general vicinity?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you knew where he was. Minimally, Miss Hampton, you're going to pay his legal fees because I think that you should have at least advised the judge that he was in jail and that he couldn't respond. And since he had to retain an attorney to at least get rid of the paragraph here that talks about the boy and that talks about visitation shall be at the discretion of the plaintiff, should have been a little more forthcoming with your lawyer. And you weren't. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I just wanted to get on with my life and start my new family and everything.
I just can't believe that he even got with her because she's crazy.
Don't marry too many times.
Be very careful who you marry.
Telemarketer Linda Lindstrom is suing her ex-sister-in-law, daycare operator Janine Rivera, for the cost of a plane ticket, harassment, and defamation of character. Linda claims her ex-husband kidnapped their daughter and hid the girl at Janine's house.
This is case number 513 on the calendar in the matter of Lindstrom versus Rivera. Is it Rivera?
Rivera.
Rivera. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. Thank you. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Lindstrom, is your former husband here in court today?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
Is that this gentleman over
Yes,
here?
Your Honor.
Miss Rivera is his sister.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Your former husband picked up your daughter, who was 3 at the time,
That's correct.
and took her to his sister's house in
That's
Texas.
correct, Your Honor.
You didn't know where she was for a period of time.
That's correct.
You ultimately found out where she was,
Correct.
and you are alleging that Miss Rivera kept her secreted from you,
That's correct.
forcing you to get on a plane, incur expenses to go and get your daughter.
Correct.
In addition, when you got your daughter, Miss Rivera called Child Protective Services, making all kinds
That's
of
not true.
allegations. Shh. That's her complaint, making all kinds of allegations against you that were ultimately found to be untrue, or the cases were closed as being unfounded, and that she has spread certain other, what you consider malicious statements about you.
Correct.
Miss Rivera says that she was merely trying to be a good aunt and that her concern was not with you, her concern was only with her niece. That's her defense.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you married to Mr. Tidwell?
November 28th, 1998,
And when was your daughter born?
July 23rd, 2000.
Do you have any other children?
I have 2 other children from previous marriage.
How old are they?
They're 17-and-a-half-year-old twin girls.
Do they live with you?
They actually attend an all-girls private boarding school. I have full custody of them. They're home on weekends. It's in the same town that I live in. They live on campus during the week.
And when did you and Mr. Tidwell separate?
July 2003, after a restraining order.
Who had the restraining order?
I had a restraining order against him. That's one of multiple.
You have a copy of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
There's one in July and one in September. Do you
I'd like
want
to
to
see
see both
both.
of them?
Well, this is an ex parte application. This is your application. I'd like to see where the court entered an order.
Okay.
Was there a trial?
He pleaded no contest.
So there was no trial, and he consented to the entry of the order of protection.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Is that correct, Mr. Tidwell?
That's very correct.
All right. So that's akin to a plea of guilty. Can I see the final order, please?
Okay, this is the order renewing it this year, and it was renewed, I want to say, in part to the harassment of the defendant. It's written in this order.
May I see it, please?
Your
Mr.
Honor?
Tidwell, would you stand up for a second, please, sir? Why did you choose not to appear when the application was made to renew the order of protection?
No, I chose to appear, and I asked my lawyer to be there, and he chose not to appear.
Did you consent to this order being extended?
No, I tried to contest it. I was representing myself.
So you contested it?
Yes.
And you offered testimony before the court?
What, I could get in without...
Whatever. You offered testimony, Mr. Tidwell.
Yes, ma'am.
And after hearing your former wife and you, the court extended the order for another 12 months.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you can sit down. All right, you separated in July of 2003 as a result of these allegations.
Correct.
When did your former husband take your daughter from daycare?
He took her on September 2nd, 2003. He picked her up from daycare and left a Post-it note that he was taking her. He then went to Mississippi and then to Texas, where the defendant lives.
Okay. In September of 2003, was there in existence a custody order with regard to your daughter?
No, Your Honor, there was not.
At the time that you went in to file this ex parte application for a protective order, your daughter was still with you?
The first one she was.
I'm talking about the first one.
Yes, July she was.
And this was good until when?
That was a 10-day order. I did not show up because he threatened to kidnap my daughter if I, in fact, went to court.
Okay. But at this time it says he was to stay at least 100 yards away. You did not follow through with this lapse.
That's correct.
Okay, I got it. Now, when he picked up your child from daycare, there came a time that he took her to your house. When was that?
He arrived at my house probably around September 7th, 8th.
Had you been expecting him? Is not an answer,
yes,
Ms. Rivera.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. What did he tell you as far as coming to you with Autumn?
He was crying and screaming and telling me that the situation was just really out of control and he didn't know what he was going to do.
And what did you tell him when he said he was coming to bring Autumn to you?
Oh, I told him I'd be happy to see him and Autumn.
How long did he stay with you?
He stayed till September 14th.
And then where did he go?
And then he went to Memphis.
For what?
Tennessee. He was trying to find a job and get housing and daycare set up and get prepared for what was about to happen.
And he left Autumn with you?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm a registered child care provider.
I don't care whether you're a child care provider or Mother Teresa.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. After her ex-husband kidnapped their daughter, his sister, Janine Rivera, harbored the girl. Janine claims she and her brother took action because Linda is mentally unstable.
Okay. From when he arrived on the 7th of September to the 14th of September, did you, in fact, have any conversation with the plaintiff?
Yes.
Tell me about that conversation.
Oh, there were many. She had been calling me numerous. I have the phone bills.
Okay. She had been calling you at that point numerous times trying to find out where your brother was and where her daughter was.
Yes, ma'am.
And when he arrived, did you call her and let her know?
I had him call her and let her know.
Were you present?
Yes.
When he made that phone call? I'd like you to tell me what you overheard.
I heard him telling her to get some help for herself and get healthy for her daughter, to please go check herself into a hospital. Do something positive is what he told her. Do something positive to show me that you're capable of taking care of my daughter.
Okay. What information did he give you, Ms. Rivera, that suggested to you that the plaintiff needed to get any help whatsoever?
He gave me a lot of information over the years, and she's given me a lot of information over the years.
Let's go to what she has given you, not he.
Okay. I know has anorexia nervosa. I know she has a lot of mental illnesses, and she told me, you know, she can't fix her. It'll never be fixed. That it's a biological, chemical thing. When this first happened, I was trying to talk to her to make sure she didn't hurt herself because I knew he was leaving her. And he left Autumn in her care when he left her. He left her a month before this all started. Because she did on the 29th, she called 911 for the 100th time on my brother because he raised his voice or something.
Well, you weren't there, so you don't know what happened. But you have to remember that your brother admitted to being abusive, because when you consent to the entry of a protective order and you know that the issue of custody is lurking, you can either fight it.
Your Honor, he had bad counsel.
No, don't tell me he had bad counsel. But listen to me.
It's been a nightmare.
Listen to me. You know, I hear a lot of excuses, but when you consent to the entry of a protective order, you can't come into court and say, I didn't understand, I had a bad lawyer, and the fact that he went before a judge on the extension of that protective order a year later suggests to me that the judge found that he has a problem. He's a smart enough man to plan on picking up his daughter at daycare, bringing her to you in a different state, then traveling to yet another state in order to secure a job and housing. All that requires a certain amount of planning, not something that somebody who is mentally challenged does. Do you understand, Ms. Rivera?
Right.
Okay.
Your Honor, can I say one thing? During the month of August, in fact, Mr. Tidwell was out of the state, and if, in fact, these people were so concerned with the health and safety of my child, why during the month of August was CPS not called? Was a neighbor not called? Was the police not called? Nobody was ever called to check on the child.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. Where do you come from?
Originally New York. North Carolina is where my home state is.
Okay, so you were in North Carolina.
That's correct.
This happened in North Carolina. And is that where you were married to Mr. Tidwell?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you removed the child from the child's home state.
Yes, ma'am.
You can't do that.
Excuse me, may I stand?
Mm-hmm. You sure can.
Thank you. I was planning a very short trip. All I asked Linda to do was to get some help while I took my daughter to a safe haven. And
Mr. Tidwell, did you tell her that you were taking your child out of daycare before or after you took the child out of daycare?
I had told her a long time ago she needed...
I'm not talking a long time ago that you told her she needed help. I'm saying that the day you came to take your daughter out of daycare, had you given your wife warning that day or the day before that it was your intention to pick her up that day?
On my daughter's birthday, I gave her warning that I would be taking my daughter if she didn't do something to get help. Okay?
Mr. Tidwell, you had a choice, sir. You chose self-help rather than going to court. You and the plaintiff separated. The child remained with her. You had at least a month to go into court in North Carolina and say, I believe that I am the more qualified parent. My wife has certain incapacities. The best interests of the child require that she stay with me. I'd like you to look into it because here are where all the records are. You go to Memphis, Tennessee, sir. How are they going to get her records and your records and the child's records? How are they going to get that?
Your Honor, I'm no lawyer. I didn't know what legal process was.
Sit down, Mr. Tidwell. I don't believe that, sir. You knew enough to get a lawyer after this trouble started, even though you say you didn't like your lawyer, and the lawyer didn't. Put your hand down.
3.
3 lawyers?
Exactly.
3 lawyers.
Listen to me, Miss Rivera. Everybody can't be wrong. Everybody can't be wrong.
Your Honor, she's been in the system in North Carolina for years.
Listen to me, even more important, Miss Rivera, because if she were in the system, quiet. If she were in the system, as you suggest, for years, then the courts in North Carolina, the family court, I'm speaking, the family court in North Carolina is the court to say, this is somebody that we really have to look at. She has a history in North Carolina. Why would you take her to Tennessee, where she has no history of being in the system, when you have a place that has easy access to those records where your brother, if he was the right person to be in control of a 3-year-old, would have a much better shot.
Can I explain?
You're not going to be able to explain to my satisfaction.
She's had counselors coming into the home while they were married. They've seen what's going on.
When was the last time, Ms. Rivera, that you spent more than 2 days in their home in North Carolina?
I've never been there.
What?
I've never been to her home. But
I'm just asking you a question. You're laughing.
No.
You've never been to her home. Now, I want you to look at the objective data. Objective. Not what you spoke to her about, what your brother told you, what you surmise. This is the objective data. Your brother was married to her, lived with her in their home state of North Carolina from 1998 to 2003. He left the home in July, leaving his 3-year-old daughter in her care. 2 months later, without warning, he goes to the school, takes the child, and removes the child from the child's home state. Takes her to you, drops her off, goes to yet a third state.
No, Your Honor.
Well, that's exactly what happened. That's what you told me.
He stayed a week and was trying to get everything in order because he knew what this was.
Getting everything in order, Miss Rivera, you know. When was the last time that your brother initiated a petition in North Carolina Family Court to have regular visitation with his daughter?
I asked my lawyer to do all that.
But when?
I can't tell you because he hasn't been doing his job.
You have zero sympathy factor, sir. Zero to me.
That's all we've been getting.
Zero. Yeah, you don't get it.
It's not about us, though. We don't want sympathy. We want something for Autumn.
That's right.
Your Honor, I want to hand up to you this evidence. This is evidence that disputes the email, which I will also hand up to you the email. It's a letter from her daycare, from my doctor. I would like you to take a look at all
I have
this.
some too, Your Honor.
It all disputes the email that she wrote. It was a vicious, vindictive attempt on her. This was sent to multiple agencies in North Carolina.
No, that's not
I was
true.
contacted.
Don't speak!
Okay.
I was contacted by the guardian ad litem. Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
When was the last time that Ms. Rivera made reports?
That email is the last one that I am aware of.
October
It was
15th of 2004?
Yes, she called me deviant. She accused me of Munchausen
Your Honor.
syndrome.
I'm going to read it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Your Honor, I also have evidence.
Just a second. I'm reading something.
I apologize.
Who are these two people that you sent this email to? Who are
They
those
are
people?
with North Carolina Legal Aid. I was trying to get help.
Legal aid?
Your Honor, can I show you why I did that?
I'll see what you have to show me
Yes,
that
ma'am.
inspired you to write this letter.
This is in her own words, and this is the letter. I don't know if you did you have that? And this is show my intent. That paragraph.
Just a second.
This is to show I had no intent to harm Linda. Those are my own notes. I'm sorry.
So let me understand. What you did was you took...
No.
I'm speaking! You didn't even hear what I had to say yet before you said no.
I'm sorry.
Put your papers down. What you did was, not your brother, what you did was you took her responses to depositions that she made in response to a divorce action in February of 2004, and in October of 2004, you wrote this email and incorporated, because this is what you say the basis of your knowledge is.
No, ma'am.
You just gave this to me.
No, I'm sorry. That was what she was referring to. I
No,
gave
no,
you.
no, 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 no,
the
no,
letter
madam.
I wrote on October 15th. I have bazillion letters I wrote
Listen.
before that.
No, listen.
When this first started, there are so
Listen.
many to everyone, to the
Listen.
President of the United States.
Listen to me. You're a nut. And your brother is a nut. I'm telling you, as a family court judge,
I'm
I get
disappointed.
letters like this all the time.
I'm sorry.
And the only time that I
That's
get
wrong.
letters, Ms. Rivera, the only time that I get letters like this, when the objective data suggests to me, I'm not saying that she's mentally healthy. I'm not making that
Do you think
judgment
my
at all.
intent was
Why
to
don't
harm
you
her?
listen? Why don't you listen?
Yes, ma'am.
The most important thing that I have seen so far is in 2 years, according to your brother, he has not himself, not with a lawyer, because you don't need a lawyer to go into the family court in any jurisdiction in this country. He has not himself gone into court and said, please, I am the better custodial parent, and I want to file a custody petition and or a petition to regularly visit with my child. Not according to him, once. He's talked to lawyers, they're all no good. He's had 3 lawyers according to you. Everybody's tried to screw him over. Nobody has represented him properly, so
That's
you have
not
taken it upon yourself.
The devil is in the details.
I'm speaking. You have taken it upon yourself to embark upon a course of conduct
To help
Design-
my niece. It's all
the
about
president
Autumn.
of the president of the United
This-
States
I
can't help
didn't
your
write
daughter,
her.
madam.
I didn't
A
write
judge in the family court in North
We
Carolina.
wrote them. We call.
You don't write
Child
them.
Protective Services.
Miss Rivera, either you're thick, and I'm not suggesting that she's mentally healthy, but what I'm suggesting to you is that there's something wrong with you. Because right here in the United States of America, we have a judicial process, and the judicial process says that...
We tried it.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. You don't get it.
No. Unreal. I'm sorry. It's just, this is just typical.
She called me a nut. She don't know who the real nut is, and that's Linda.
Judge Judy saw it. She said, you're a nut, you're thick. They just don't get it.
She's sick. She's the nut.
They're just vicious, vindictive people.
What this woman is doing to my niece, it's unreal.
For every hearing we've gone to, I've been determined to be the better and fit parent for my daughter. There's never been a question.
Lucinda Noble is suing her sister Tiffany Acuna for rent and property damage.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2109, Noble versus Acuna.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Noble, this is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Any other siblings?
Many.
How many?
I have 5 sisters and 4 brothers.
And you have kids. How many children do you have?
I have 3 daughters.
How old are they?
18, 15, and almost 12.
And you?
I have 3 children, and they are 10, 5, and 2.
There came a time when, that was in August of 2021, according to your complaint, that you were having some housing difficulties with your children.
No, that's not true.
Well, Miss Noble, what led you to believe that your sister was having some housing difficulty? Because you start your complaint by indicating that she was about to become homeless.
Her house that she was living in was being put up for sale.
So the house that you had been renting,
Correct.
for how long?
About 2 years. I'm not really sure. It was well
Was
over
being
a year.
sold.
Well, I didn't know that until I gave her my notice after I'd already previously asked my sister if we should move in.
So you approached her about you moving in with her.
Yes, correct.
And do you own your own home, Miss Noble?
I do.
Where you were living there alone with your 3 children.
Yes.
Okay, and how much rent were you paying?
$750.
Now, when you decided to move in with your sister, what rent was discussed?
Well, she had told me about $400 is what she wanted.
Okay, so she said the rent was $400 per month, and that was starting August 1st?
Right.
So this is what part of this case is about. Part of the case is about rent. You lived with your sister from August 1st, 2021 to a date in 2022 when you finally removed all of your property.
Kind of. I did not remove all of my property, but I removed what she allowed me to.
To remove on what date?
I'm going to say it was mid-May, but I'm not sure.
May of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So we have August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So between 9 and 10 months. For the 9 or 10 months that you were there, how many times did you pay her $400 in rent? She's going to have a list.
I have a list too of our.
And you have a list. So why don't you take a look at it and give me the exact number of months?
The time I paid her $400 was, I think, only one time, and there was other times I paid her different amounts. But our agreement was because I bought all the groceries, we just kept track on this app, which has a list. I paid way over $400 in total.
Well,
so our agreement had changed.
Just a second.
Okay.
You have an app 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you spend on that app?
12,000 something. It's right in here on the list.
Take a look, because you're going to show it to me.
I paid total $10,411.
Okay, and she?
She total was $11,291.
And that was to cover groceries, food, gas money.
Her phone was under mine.
This is something that I'm going to have to simplify. There came a time when there were issues with regard to you not paying her $400 a month rent. And you discussed it with her, correct? And in what month was that?
April.
It was before April. It was before I had gone on vacation.
What month and year?
December of 2021.
So what I'm reading in December of 2021, you had a dispute about how much you were spending, how much you weren't spending, and that $400 was not being forthcoming just for rent. You see, I can understand that the two of you decided to split bills, everything other than the $400 in rent. You each have 3 children. You're 2 adults. Let's get to December. Was it the beginning or middle of December that you had this discussion about just pay $400 a month and we'll deal with it?
Maybe the middle.
Okay. So we have January, February, March, April, and you moved out in May.
Correct. I was kicked out illegally. Yes.
In May.
Yep.
Left in May. So that's 5 months. It was suggested by your landlord that just give me $400 a month and we'll split groceries.
In April, I have the proof of the text.
Just a second. So we have January, February, March, and April. 4 months. Did you give her $400 a month for those 4 months?
Nope, it was never discussed before then. I have the proof that it was discussed in April.
I'd like to see it.
Thank you.
It was discussed in April again.
Okay, just a second. I just want to see the proof. Well, show me if you have proof of an earlier conversation.
I don't.
Believe that there was an earlier conversation. Let me see the one that occurred in April.
It was mainly the receipts.
I'm not getting involved with that at all. Right now, you had a place to live with your 3 children for much less than the $750 a month that you were paying at another residence.
Right. And I spent way more on groceries. I did all the groceries.
Whatever. Your children didn't eat more.
Right. And my children didn't live there the full time.
I don't care.
Okay. I'm sorry. Can I look on my phone? It might be faster. Is that okay if I show you the text?
I don't care where you show it to me. Just show it to me.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. So I'm supposed to apologize. Okay. Apologize. Sorry. On April 24th. So if you want, and then you can scroll down because she kind of keeps for a couple days.
Oh, that wasn't an agreement, madam. These were final acts of desperation to get you to pay $400 a month. Here.
That was the first time I'd heard, about her.
Oh, no. That wasn't the first time you heard about it.
Right.
Because the first line is $400 better be under my door.
Right.
So that's not the first time you heard about it.
Right.
That's an act of desperation. Okay, so you had this conversation with her in December, and she was there until May. And according to you, you only paid $400 once. That's $2,000. By the way, how are your children supported?
I work. Well, I work, yes.
Is that a full-time job or a part-time job?
It was part-time.
Well, you don't support yourself and your 3 children with a part-time job. Do you get any child support for them?
I did get child support for 2 of them, yes.
For 2 of them?
Mm-hmm.
How much child support do you receive?
$300.
$300 a what?
A month.
Do you get any other assistance?
Yes, I had food stamps.
Mm-hmm. Do you still have food stamps?
Yes.
How much a month?
For something. I'm not exactly sure.
And when you bought food for the household, you used the food stamps as well as your other money from your part-time job. And got it, $400. So far, you owe your sister $2,000. That's for back rent. Now, you want to go through the damages that you allege that your sister caused?
Yes. So I had 2 couches, and those went away.
What do you mean both went away? What does that mean?
She got rid of them.
While she was living there? Mm-hmm. And you knew about it? In what month?
It was when I came back from vacation. My things were gone.
I'm not following. You were supposed to be gone for 2 weeks, according to her.
No, I was gone for 3.5 weeks.
You were gone for almost a month. Mm-hmm. She was babysitting for your children.
They don't really need babysat. They're older.
Well, your 12-year-old can't live by herself without a mother for a month.
No.
Okay. And your 18-year-old does what?
She works at a hotel.
So she works during the day or at night?
She didn't at the time. She was at 17 at the time.
You're not going to leave a 17, a 14, and an 11-year-old alone for a month?
Of course not.
Okay, so they were home with your sister?
Yes.
Let's get back to the initial question. I forgot what my question was before I went off on this tangent. Couches.
The couches.
That's where we're at.
Yes.
So you went away for a month, and when you came back, couches were gone.
Couches, like the whole house had transformed into basically her house.
I don't care, basically her house. I want to know what was missing.
So the couches were missing.
Okay, which couches? Couches from where to where?
So the couch from the living room, it was a sectional, and the couch from the basement.
Living room and basement. What happened to those couches?
Oh, they were gone a long time before, and I can prove you a text of her saying that they were gone before I even moved in, actually in August. She knew, and her daughter and her boyfriend helped me load them up and take them to the dump. She, in fact, told me she was getting rid of a lot of old furniture she did not care about. I have pictures.
Just a second. What you have is proof that those 2 items were disposed of before she went away on vacation.
Way before I moved in.
Okay. Now, Miss Noble, your sister says that she has proof that those 2 couches were disposed of well before you went away on vacation. If she does, I'm not going to be happy with you. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation?
I can't recall, but I believe she wanted to make room for her furniture.
Just a second. Were those 2 couches gone before you went on vacation for a month?
I know the basement couch wasn't.
Okay. I think you're full of baloney.
She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9.
Lucinda Noble claims her sister, Tiffany Acuna, owes for rent and property damage. Tiffany is countersuing for an illegal lockout and filing a false CPS report.
Okay, let's go property taken without permission. What property did she take without your permission?
Okay, so
what part she owes you for rent?
The TV stand, she broke it and threw it under the trampoline.
What's next?
The weed trimmer, she took that. She started giving my niece my belongings while I was gone. She started giving my niece video games, movies, my food storage containers. She was just giving my things away.
Okay, she owes you for rent. I went to graduate school after I finished with high school for 9 years. I'm not dealing with Tupperware. So far, she owes you $2,000 for rent.
Okay, and then there was also the wall damage, the windows, the blinds,
just
the
a
carpet.
second. Just a second. What wall damage and where?
The wall damage is from the room that she was staying in and the room that her boys were staying in.
May I see the damage that you're referring to?
Here's the one more of that, and then here's the blinds, and this was damages from her cat.
Well, this I can't see at all. Okay, so that I can't see at all. And if you're talking about nail holes, I'm not interested in nail holes where there were pictures, cutting them up. I don't know what this is a picture of. Tell me.
That's where her cat clawed up the carpet to get into her room.
Did you replace the carpet?
Not yet.
Do you have an estimate for replacing or patching that carpet?
They don't make that carpet anymore.
Okay, I don't know that. How did these blinds get broken?
I'm not sure. Are those the ones that were in my bedroom or the kids' bedroom? I really don't know, to be honest. But I do feel like I remember them being broken, but I just don't remember if they were broken when I already moved in or not. I really don't know, ma'am. I mean, honestly, I knew they were broken. It's like I'm remembering, but the house, like I said, was not in a good condition when I moved in.
Okay, I'm not talking about the rest of the house.
My daughter is actually, Tiffany told her that she knew they were.
She doesn't remember. You tell me that these blinds were in good condition before she and her family moved in.
Yes.
She says she doesn't remember. I have to rely on what you say to me because that's not ordinary wear and tear.
No.
Do you have a bill for new blinds?
From Lowe's, I have the estimate of what it will cost to replace them.
Okay, I'd like to see it. You do have a cat?
Yes, I have one cat.
Okay.
She has multiple.
So we're talking about $47.98.
Times 2.
Okay. Anything else? Any other?
For 2 blinds.
I only see one.
No, those are 2 different windows.
Oh, times 2. You're right. Anything else?
I have to remove the junk that she left at my house.
I was not allowed at her house.
What else?
That's...
Okay, if you have to think that hard, then we're finished. We're moving over to the countersuit. Okay. Counterclaim is for an illegal lockout. Okay, let me run through this illegal lockout and dispose of it quickly. The illegal lockout that you're referring to happened when your sister, who shouldn't have, took the door off your bedroom.
Correct.
She says she took the door off your bedroom because you weren't paying close enough attention to your children.
Correct.
And I assume she's talking about the 2-year-old.
Correct.
And when she took the door off your bedroom, you called the police.
Right, yep. I called the police. I have the incident report.
Yes, you called the police, and the police came, and when the police came on, do we have the date?
26th April.
The police arrived, and they told her she couldn't lock the door, and you were let in.
Correct.
Okay, so not egregious enough for me to have to deal with 2 sisters fighting. But the other part of your claim is that your sister filed a false CPS report.
Right.
And first, how do you know a CPS report was called in?
Well, they called me.
Child Protective Services.
Right, they did call me. But first, I actually had the phone call from my sister, my witness, who's here right now, because she had pre-warned me because she had gotten the phone call from this sister saying, Lucy is going to call on you.
Okay. Do you want to step up?
Sure.
Tell me your name.
My name's Stephanie Aslett. I'm the older sister from these 2. Yeah.
When did you have a conversation with Miss Noble about the defendant's children?
The same night that the cops were called. Tiffany had called me because Lucy's daughter had crawled through the window and opened the door.
So you spoke to Lucinda?
Yes.
On April 26th?
Yes.
Did you call her or did she call you?
She had called me because she wanted to let me know that the cops had been
Do you recall that conversation?
Yes, I do.
Okay, tell me about the conversation.
She called to let me know that she was letting me know that since I was the only one probably capable or in this position to take on a child, if CPS was involved, because the 2-year-old would not be able to go to his father. He was in prison at the time. And I was like, why are you calling and telling me this? Tiffany's a good mom. What's going on? And she goes, no, she's not. I've already called CPS and forewarned them that this is happening. She needs to be taken care of.
What's happening?
Apparently there was lice on her daughter when she was at her father's house, and the 2-year-old, apparently he was running around with a wet diaper.
Who was taken to their father's house?
The daughter that had the lice was...
The daughter is the 5-year-old?
Yes. And
Okay, not the 2-year-old.
Yeah. She supposedly had lice while she was at her dad's.
Went to her father's, and that was sometime in April. Is that correct?
Yes.
And got head lice.
Well, he had told me. I wasn't for sure, but I'd let my sister know just in case that she may have lice. Let's check the girls.
Okay. And your sister was home at the time?
Well, no, she was never home. Everything was over text message.
Just a second. Was that when she was away?
She was not staying at the house. She was not at the residence. She was staying at her boyfriend's house that was there.
Lucinda was staying at her
Yes.
boyfriend's house?
Yes.
Okay. And that's on the 26th?
Yes.
Is that after the police were called?
That was prior to. Supposedly the lice was prior to, and that's why she had called them prior to that night. And she was letting me know that she had called them and that I needed to be prepared to take on a 2-year-old.
What did you tell her?
I asked her why she would call them, what was going on, and I said, this is ridiculous. You know that this is ridiculous. And she goes, no, it's justified. And I said, I don't understand.
Did she tell you why?
Yeah, she tried to tell me that...
well, tell me exactly what she said to you. Why is this
She made
justified?
the comment that
so she called
Tiffany has
you.
not been there.
Okay, you had to ask
My
her
words
why.
to her were, how do you know this when you're never there?
And she said?
I just know.
And gave you no more specifics?
No.
Okay, you want to tell me about that conversation?
I never said I was calling CPS. I said someone will. I know the person who did. It wasn't me.
Okay, well...
But I knew it was going to be happening.
Okay, Stephanie, let's get clear, okay? When you spoke to Lucinda and she said to you, in effect, are you prepared to take on a 2-year-old? Did she tell you that someone was calling CPS?
No, she did not. She said that she would be the one calling and that she has already contacted them because of the situation at her home.
Okay. Now, assuming you and your sister lived alone together, whether you spent time with your boyfriend, I know you have older kids, but you were away. When you were away for that month, were you staying with your boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And you left your kids alone, correct?
With my sister.
With your sister? Now, why would you feel comfortable about leaving your own children with your sister if you felt that she neglected her own children?
They didn't need the amount of care that a 2-year-old does.
Are you telling me that a 15-year-old doesn't need a lot of care and watching these days? Or a 12-year-old or an 11-year-old doesn't need a lot of watching and supervising? Is that what you're suggesting to me?
Not as much as a 2-year-old.
Well, one is a physical watching to make sure that it eats and drinks and is bathed periodically. The other two are far more difficult. You got to have eyes all over the place to watch a 15-year-old and an 11-year-old. Got to have your eyes on their computer. You've got to have your eyes on their iPad. You have to have your eyes on their schooling, on their homework, on their everything else. You take a month to go off with your boyfriend. That, to me, is not participating with your children, especially since you suggest that your sister, with whom you left your children, was neglecting her own children.
Your Honor, I would just like to say that I was reaching out to her a lot of the time, too, where I would get 1 week there was nothing. She said, I'm sorry, I had no Wi-Fi. Her children were skipping school. They were not listening to me. They would not do their chores.
Do I need you to reinforce what I just said?
Right.
I don't need you to reinforce what I just said. You would have had a history with methamphetamines. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Lucinda Noble is accusing her sister, Tiffany Acuna, of refusing to pay for rent. Tiffany claims Lucinda wrongfully reported her to Child Protective Services.
Now, you have something you want to say?
Many things, actually.
Well, many things. I don't want many things. What I want, stand up. What I want to know is you're her daughter.
Yes.
Your first name?
Anna Noble.
Anna, what do you do?
I work front desk at a hotel.
Graduate from high school?
No.
Why?
I was pulled out and moved to Missouri.
Pulled out by whom? By your mother?
Yeah.
And when your mother pulled you out, how old were you?
17.
Had you been going to school before?
Yes.
In what jurisdiction?
It was an alternative school.
When you say an alternative school, what kind of an alternative school?
For troubled youth.
Tell me about your trouble. Was it behavior trouble? Because
It
you
was
seem
many things. I was a very wild teenager.
Until when were you a wild teenager?
Until I sent her to live with her dad.
I didn't ask you any questions. So now you can sit down.
Okay.
I'm not going into anything else. Lucinda, so far you went away for a month with your boyfriend, leaving your 3 children who you say don't need supervision. How long were you home before you took the door off her bedroom?
I got back from vacation in February, early February, and the door was removed in April for a few hours.
Okay. Do you have any proof other than this conversation that the plaintiff called CPS?
I believe it is proof, just the thing that was reported is something she would only know. Would that be considered proof?
Well,
okay.
Let me hear what was reported.
It was reported that I would not treat my child with lice. That was what the CPS report was, and it was unsubstantiated, and I have that all proof.
Okay. When your 5-year-old went to her father, she went to visit with her father, and children do get head lice. It happens periodically. Lots of children who go to school, who interact with other children, come home and they get head lice. I've had a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren, and it happens. And you usually treat it. I assume that her father did not treat it. Is that right?
He did treat it. He told me immediately.
No. So he treated it. So how do you know that the head lice was the nature of the complaint?
That's what was on the report.
May I see it? Your children weren't removed, except for your boy.
My one son, and then that lady.
And then returned.
All 3.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 kids were taken.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. There you go, sir.
Okay. You had a prior history with Child Protective Services.
Which I was unaware.
That's either a yes or a no.
Yep, yes.
And during the course of those prior proceedings, which were relatively current Child Protective proceedings, because that was in 2021, you were clearly drug tested by the Department of Social Services or Child Protective Services.
In 2018 or 19. This was at my doctor's prior when I was, and they reported it that I had failed one of my tests.
And at that time, you had an open case and you tested positive for serious drugs.
Right.
Very serious drugs. And this says that while under the influence of those drugs, you drove your children to the doctor's office while under the influence.
Right.
That's the report.
Right.
Okay. These reports all seem to indicate that they tried to see you, but you kept canceling appointments with them and were a no-show.
Well,
okay, that's what this report says. You gave me the report.
Right.
So let me understand this. After coming in and making an assessment, Child Protective Services determined to file a petition on behalf of your youngest child. Yes, they did.
Okay, yeah.
Well, after everything I read there, I think that was probably a good idea. I don't know what happened with that. I assume that the petition was ultimately dismissed if you have your children back with you.
Right away.
Do you have your children back with you?
Yeah, right away, as soon as I went to court that day.
That's okay. They determined, after they spoke to you, and irrespective of either her motivation or anybody acting on her behalf, or somebody that she knew, or her, called Child Protective Services. The question that I'm presented with, was there a basis for concern about your children?
No.
And based upon the reports that I've read here, and those are reports that you gave me, that those serious questions about what was going on with the young children in your house deserved a second look. You had had a history with methamphetamines. You had a serious weight loss. You refused to meet with caseworkers, according to the report you gave me.
I have other reports, too, if I may, please.
Thank you. I'm not finished.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Because if you've been in family court, as I was for 25 years, often incidents are called in of suspected child abuse and neglect. A caseworker goes out, takes a look, and says, I'll continue to watch it, but I don't have to file a case. It hasn't reached the level where I think that I should file a case and remove a child. In this case, Child Protective Services came and tried to do an investigation, which, according to the worker, you evaded. You missed appointments, you rescheduled, you didn't show up.
One time.
And then, not one time, they also had a prior history of you involving drugs, involving driving your children under the influence of drugs. Recent history, didn't happen 20 years ago. If it happened 2019, this says 21. If it happened 2019 or 2020, that's still recent history. Okay. So whoever called, it was worth, according to this caseworker, they had sufficient information based upon what they saw and what they knew to remove the 2-year-old. So that part of your case is dismissed, which is the only part of your counterclaim that I was really entertaining. You owe your sister $2,096, $2,000 for rent and $48 for, I forget what it was, blinds. Thank you, we're done.
My
This court is
property?
adjourned. We're done.
I had drug tested every month during the time that this happened, and it was like an oopsie under my doctor's supervision.
I just helped her, and she takes advantage and takes advantage.
You don't call CPS on your sister when you're the one that took off to Africa for 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
And this whole thing wasn't about money. It just, I needed someone to tell her, look, you can't take advantage of people anymore.
She's still the outcast that everyone's upset with.
I'm not the outcast, though, but I'm definitely not helping her anymore.
So we've seen it a lot here, claims for unsubstantiated CPS reports being filed and people seeking damages for that. So I'm just wondering, do you think there was a basis? Is that why, obviously, you didn't rule in her favor on the claim of the false CPS report? So there must have been something in there that...
You know, when people use Child Protective Services as a retaliation for other behavior, that's always abhorrent. But there are some situations where CPS may be called because someone knows that there is an abuse or neglect and has not done it until the other person irritates them. Well, that's not a false CPS report. Maybe motivated by something else, but that's not a false report. And so, in this case, the defendant had a history with CPS, current history with CPS that was relatively serious. Well, then it was a good thing that CPS went.
Because that would be basis itself
It's
for
basis
the claim.
itself, basis itself.
That alone. And just because she was cleared at the end of the day and has her children back now doesn't mean that it was an unsubstantiated claim.
Oh, no, they're watching. Yeah. They're watching, and they should be watching. I don't think any of them are bargains. The 18-year-old daughter who was here, who was a troubled child, according to her, and never graduated from high school, although she's working, because her mother moved her around also a lot, was certainly an inadequate caretaker for the other 2 younger children. She goes off for a month with her boyfriend. It's amazing how some children just grow up by themselves. Sometimes it works out okay. I don't know, somehow I felt sorry for all of those kids, that they're not getting all the loving and nurturing that they should.
Hopefully maybe after today she turns it around.
Maybe.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình.
After working with several website developers, I met Mohammed and I was very, very disappointed. So I told Mohammed, I'm looking for someone who can help me to build a website and I'm looking for XYZ. Mohammed was very, very good listener. He was listening to my needs and he asked me a few questions and he got everything what he needed from my side. Then he came back to me after a very, very short amount of days and I thought he will ask me questions and we will go through some things. Surprisingly enough, he built a full website and it was exactly what I was looking for. I'm super happy and I'm very glad that I got to know Mohammed and I worked with him. I've been working with him before and I'm going to keep working with him, and I'm definitely recommending him. If you are looking for someone who will build very good websites, this is the right guy because this guy is doing magic.